Sweet. So, welcome back to another episode of Sludge Underground, and once again in our series of interviewing all the Wacken Metal Battle Sub-Saharan Africa finalists. Today, I have got the boys from As Night Fades, all the way from Namibia. Guys, introduce yourselves and what you do.
Hi, I'm Udeni. I am the bassist for As Night Fades.
Hi, I'm Juan. I'm one of the guitarists of As Night Fades.
So, boys, how are you feeling about moving on to the Wacken finals?
But also real for me personally to be able to go and do this. It's just we're super excited. I am, anyways. I think the rest of the band is as well.
Yeah, man. Look, I feel I have to put this disclaimer out there. We're going through because currently we're the best metal band in Namibia.
Only
because we're the only metal band in Namibia. So we won that competition by a landslide.
A huge landslide. It was unanimous decision.
We took. Yeah. So but that being said, we're still super stoked because we got a taste of this last year, and I think we haven't every night all of us go to sleep. We think about that night and then sleep with a smile on our face.
So, I find that interesting. What led to you guys being the only metal band in Namibia, and why is that still the case?
A couple of years ago, let's say 10 to 12 years ago, the metal scene in Namibia was thriving.
It was insane.
There were at least 4 bands I can think of, like big bands that when they had shows, everyone went. Because so for those of you who don't know, Namibia's got a very close and small music community. Not small in the sense that not a lot of people support it, but everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
And so long story short, these 4 big bands used to gig a lot, and I was like 12 years ago, I was 16, 15, 16.
You're about 16.
And I was in one of those. Yeah, I was in one of those bands. We Stand Alone back in the day, and we were looking up to the bands. They were Within Madness. What's the one called?
Safe 19, Within Madness, Trust Undone, no. Out of Nowhere.
Trust Undone.
Trust
Out
Undone.
of Nowhere was
Out
the
of
other
Nowhere.
one. Oh, and also Dead Gone Country. Don't forget those boys.
Dead Gone.
And so yeah, I looked up to these guys as a young warthog, and when things just happened, all of these bands broke up, and then a lot of us were in these bands, and we got together and formed As Night Fades. But there was no other subsequent metal bands that formed after we got together, and it's just been like that since then. We don't know why the other people don't want to start. We wish people would start bands again. Like, it'll be great for the Namibian scene. So if you're a Namibian metal guy and you're listening to this, you know what to do, bro.
The Namibian, especially the metal and rock scene. So I entered it in about, let's say, 20, 21 years ago. And I've noticed that over that time, just before I entered, it had peaked and was slowly declining, and then it peaked up again, and then it declined, and then it peaked up just as I entered in as a musician. And that's something that the Namibian music scene does, especially with the rock and very much in particular with the metal scene. It just comes and goes in waves, and we are trying to initiate the next wave of the new wave of Namibian heavy metal music, or biltong metal as we like to call ourselves.
That's definitely admirable, and it's crazy how an event like that can create such a sort of a vacuum within the scene, where it happens kind of so dramatically that there isn't anyone to pass the torch to. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not that the attempt wasn't made, it's just there wasn't anyone really doing it. And I find it so interesting that, in that entire sort of frame, do you think it's more just that there's people who are into making that type of music, but just don't know how to get in touch with people who are also making music?
To be honest with you, because we're such a small community, and I noticed this is a thing worldwide. I don't know if we're going to go into politics, and I'm hoping we don't. But a lot of the time, when things go sour, people find it difficult to reconcile with each other. And I think a lot of people, like, they get older, and then they get busy with jobs, and then they've already got a bit of a sour taste in their mouths, so to them it's not really worth the effort. And I think that's where we prevailed. We were like, we're gonna stick through this dry spell, and we did. And that was like, we've been a band now for 8 years, so we've been pushing through all of this. And it's kind of weird because there's not a lot of there's not, how can I say this, the amount of metal supporters in Namibia pales in comparison to the amount of metal supporters in South Africa. But somehow every time there's a big festival with big bands coming down, we're always on the running list. So people do like it, and people really like listening to the genre. I just think, yeah, it's difficult to say.
I think from my experience, and from talking to, because I used to be a high school teacher, and a lot of the students there, quite a few of them were actually like surprisingly heavy metal fans, and played guitar and stuff like that. I think for a lot of so he was referring to the older, or let me rather say our age peers. With the younger kids, I think it's a matter of finding people who are willing to actually play metal. I mean, like, we've got a lot of bands that are rock adjacent. There's this one very young band that started out a couple of years ago that's doing pretty well, but they're more pop punk, even though half of the band are metalheads and can play metal quite effectively. But there's always that issue of finding a bassist or finding a drummer, or particularly here, finding a vocalist who can do the sort of music, or is willing to do the sort of music, um, like heavy metal music. Because I mean, I remember, which is weird, because I remember a few years ago, just about the time I met Jean. I remember there was a singer who was looking to start a band, but every musician she knew was a wanted to play heavy metal. And now it's sort of like flipped. Every band wants to play heavy metal, but no musician wants to do heavy metal.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know much about the Namibian scene, so that's actually really interesting to learn. It's really cool to learn more about what's happening in places sort of adjacent to South Africa and see what's happening. How are you guys feeling about the bands that have successfully gone through to the finals so far? So we're talking about Nine Refrain and Walk These Skies. How do you guys feel about the boys and those bands in particular?
I love Walk These Skies, man.
Walk These Guys really stood out for me. I quite like their stuff. Nine Refrain,
Their social media game is like,
it's on point. It's on
unbeat.
point.
Yeah, it's super on point. And the guys are cool. Like, I think they added us all as Facebook friends after last year's Wacken, and like, they're very positive, reinforcing. Is that the right way to say that? Forgive me, I'm very Afrikaans. So yeah, but they're like super cool, man. They're always saying nice things, and that's something that we don't. I don't want to say we don't get it a lot here, because people don't hate on us, but just hearing from other metal musicians like, hey, that's cool, or hey, that rocks, it's kind of very affirming for us that what we're doing isn't a waste of time. I've checked all the bands that I've gotten through so far. I love all of them. I'm very disappointed that Handpicked Heathens couldn't make their heat.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
But they're still
yeah,
playing.
they're
They
still
managed to
playing.
get they managed to get shifted to another heat though.
Oh,
So we
yes.
Yes.
still, yeah. So to the best of my understanding, the Handpicked Heathen boys are moved to another heat because I think a band pulled out of one of the others. So there
Oh,
is still a
that's
chance. If I am very much not mistaken, there is still a chance that the Handpicked Heathen guys could go through to the finals.
I
that.
love
That
democracy. Yeah.
that'd be great. No, I myself have also checked out the other bands, Nine Refrain, but Walk These Skies in particular. I also take a look at them. I quite enjoy their stuff, and I am also very glad that the handpicked heathens, because I picked them myself. Um, yeah, I'm very happy about that. Those guys are awesome. Those guys are awesome guys. Like all of the
Yeah.
musicians we met were just awesome people, honestly.
Like we're living in this sphere in Namibia, right? We're the only we're not the only metal musicians, but because we're the only ones actively playing, like we're constantly at a gig. It's us, and then it's like acoustic two pieces, or I like punk bands and stuff. So I want to say this in the most diplomatic way ever. Being at the Wacken Fest, where you see other people shred and sweep and double bass, that's very awesome for us because we're like, whoa, these people are so insanely good at this. Like, what am I even doing?
It's a really amazing experience for us because we we have a metal gig. We have a show here, and you have one metal band, which is us, and then a couple of rock bands, as Jean said. But then maybe of the, let's say, 200 people that are there, maybe at most 20 of them are actual metal fans. So for us to go to the Wacken Fest last year and to go and it's just 100% metal. Like all the bands are metal, all the fans are metalheads.
The best thing ever.
It was so great, and we will consider ourselves very lucky to have had that experience and to meet all of these people that we met, yourself included.
Bro, mosh pits was like never in my life. Like, you see this. This is like that classic story of you see this stuff on TV, and then it happens to you in real life, and you're like, okay, I can die now. I've lived.
All I can imagine, right, is because you're like, I was listening to your guys' latest lyric video that you've got up on YouTube, and like you're playing on like a headless 7-string guitar, right?
Eight string, eight string.
So this headless 8-string fucking guitar, and all I can imagine is if I get this acoustic 2-piece, and then suddenly you walk up onto stage with this headless 8-string guitar, and it's just a fucking like, and like it gives me the same fucking energy as that. What the fuck is up, Denny's? Like that fucking meme. And then, boys, like, do you have a message for the bands that you're going to be competing against? Do you have anything to say to the homies you are going to be up against in the very near future?
I can't wait to see you guys, man.
I'm just looking forward to seeing what everybody brings to the table. Last year was such an awesome time. I'm really excited for this year to see what Africa comes up with this time. I'm super excited to meet everybody.
If I have to give one message from our side, and this is very serious, please bring us your nicest biltong.
Yeah, also believe.
Yeah,
No, for real, because
very important.
yeah,
But
It's
that's
the most
about it.
wholesome message by far.
Yeah, yeah, dude. We got like, I think that's a thing with us. We're not going into this like, we're gonna come and give our best show that we possibly can, and but that doesn't mean, yeah, I don't think we're going into this with a competitive mindset, as in, ha, you better watch out, because that defeats the purpose, I think, of the whole idea of this show. And we're all there for the same thing, That's how I think As Night Fades is going to approach this competition. We're like, win or lose, it's still going to be a win for us, you
Yeah,
know.
I think because, like, especially considering what last year, the doors that opened for us after that. I mean, the fact that we were able to, for example, go and do a Cape Town tour, and we've met all of these friends, and we could ask bands to come and play here. We can get invited over there, and making all of these new connections. I think for us, and we've spoken about it as a band and as individuals to each other, and we've all agreed that that for us was the absolute real prize of that. So when we say bring us your best biltong, like, we want to come, we want to meet everybody, we want to make connections, we want to make friends, and just like have a great time, you know.
And we also want you guys to come play with us in Namibia and taste what
Asseblief,
proper beer tastes like.
asseblief mense,
Oops,
kom
did I
kom
just say
drink,
that? No, I didn't.
kom sep saam met ons, asseblief.
Yeah.
Guys, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on here. I'm so stoked to see you at the finals. And yeah, boys, on that bombshell, thank you so much. I hope you have a good time.
Thanks,
Thanks,
dude.
bruv.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Sorry for babbling so much.